Chapter 1. This is my rough draft. Everything in this video is not meant to be perfect. My voice does not sound good, and my dialogue is weakened by the core, but the edits are fully finished by hand. This is my way of expressing my creativity. Critique and feedback is fully allowed with no censorship. Let's go. Being located in any labeled community of any state or city can bring you a sensible description of what your life can foresee due to an influence from that specific area. Your community can offer any proposal environment that can benefit you into their circle with confidence of representing your local difference. Within the state that I've lived in throughout the years, I was able to escape the harmful effects of the environment that could have put me in the worst position that I could barely escape. Given the fact that I have family that can relate to those labels away from safety, it could have been better for all of us as a whole. But I often look at myself as the reasonable main source of answers to solve all of our problems. First thing I could encounter is the most memorable experience that I would encounter as an infant to a young, speakable, resourceful person. As I can see that for the ones that I sense a busy schedule compared to what I'm looking for, with things that I always wonder to myself that I need to know, like having sisters that I never had a chance to actually grow up with, parents that would work multiple jobs at a young age, and having a brother that panders with life skills with minority traits to investigate. And then there's me, seeing where my future holds me to and what I can do to improve the way it should look, and those things that can hold much value to my purpose. International cities can define who you are as a person, along with living in a small town with mixed public housing civilians with deep roots tied to their own culture. Whether it is perfect, defective, or in between both, it can define your whole personality. For me, I know exactly what I represent to my location. This is the story of my life living in Faradel, where we take a deep dive of my past experiences and more upholding future references. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Today, we are preaching time to a better start of what life really means to us, remembering our past to success, and learning more about our future for us young people. So I finally get up on this lovely Saturday, ready to seize the day and learning what I haven't planned for today. Seeing that the clock said that it is 7:55 a.m., I would often wonder what I would like to do on the weekends for a pleasurable morning. And no, not what you're seeing here in this frame. Please don't take it out of context. It's not like that at all. I mean the word pleasurable for another example, but you get what I'm saying. But enough joking around, it's time to get serious. I would normally get up and try to make myself some breakfast, and most importantly learn how to cook some pancakes, for example, so that I could learn how to cook for myself when I finally start to live in an independent solo household. But it would turn out that I don't have the kitchen-based tools to know what I am doing. So here in this clip, you will see me giving you guys some morning head motivation to smooth the time over before I get ready for the day. And this was done in multiple takes, so I hope you guys enjoy this while you can. Just walking into the lighting is really hard. Hope you guys can see me. It's just really hard looking at the light. So yeah, today is Saturday. I feel like I have a lot of things to do. I don't know what I should be doing, but there are some things I feel like I should check off the list. There are some things you got to be grateful for. Depends on what you could refer to here, like the creaky floors, for example. Like whenever I step into them, it just gives me like a little bit of a flashback of living in one of my older houses. We used to have creaky floors here, you know, living in this wilderness part of the state, living in my last name because my last name is Woods. So it's kind of like a play on of what this house or the neighborhood represents, because we've been living in like a suburban kind of area, but it's not really suburban over here. That is the crazy part. Now, whilst I am editing this video, I took the term suburban area to a minor approach that I did not mean. Growing up living at a trailer park could most likely signify the intentions that I would uphold at a better standpoint. Like looking back at the old times during my prime of those days, I really went through a lot. I can channel those exact moments of the events that occurred in this household, or even outside this household to be exact. Whether it was about me, people in my family, others outside of my family, or complete strangers, I know what went on. Specific neighborhoods like this one could really set goals into what I can do better with my own life and how I will eventually become more productive in my persuasive changes. Like this house, for example, first guided me into a dark place that I thought was inescapable at first. But in some cases, I've made some long-term prospects from along the way. I went to a good high school that was near my local area and graduated with some equivalent degree. I make some performative and personal creations dedicated to where I'm from, and really I did learn from my mistakes to forever see through with advance. All while living here, I've been through loss of cherished pain that I would sometimes remember. With this recession, I cannot make a turning point to where I can feel comfortable telling these many stories. Thanks for listening to my side of these events that can now hold weight to my journey. There could be people out there who can relate to these process that runs in the air to fulfill a steady balance. There are a lot of things in life that you have to be grateful for. The things that come your way, whether it could be good or bad, doesn't matter what it has to be, you gotta be grateful for it, because if you don't take that into commission, then it's not gonna last long on your behalf. Like the good things that comes your way or the bad things, because the bad things can sometimes save you. You may never know. Just glad I can give you guys that lesson. Today is one of those simple days that you can't ignore. The clock is ticking and the sun is rising. The clouds move in all forms. You have goals to set for yourself. I step in to check in the mirror to see myself process the after morning of what I stem from with any change I could make. Getting ready for today, I've always wondered what a regional location could represent to your life. Like me, for example, being from the South has always been a good trait of mine to uphold a certain degree of critical analyzing to specific subjects and topics in the real world. The cities that I've lived throughout my childhood, in and out, every time we made some moves gives influence of what I saw throughout those times. I can see what the influence of what I've gained from this perspective can really do for me. It finally gives me the courage to break this whole thing down. This is the story of what it's like to live in this specific state with the most regional power to the people. In what way can I represent this? By giving you guys my input on the one state that I am from to give you guys more insight. And that would be no other place than Kentucky, which you guys have seemed to have known by now as it was shown in the beginning. But anyways, let me give you guys a quick history lesson on this glorious state of mine. So, Kentucky was the 15th state that was found and admitted to the Union in 1792, which was also part of the colonial empire of Virginia before its statehood. It is a southern eastern state that was bounded in the Appalachian Mountains in the east, which kind of explains why I sound so southern in the tone of my voice. That's something that I can't even control, so please just bear with me. It's hard knowing that it is what it is with who I am and what I represent, but history set its goals to infiltrate your mindset. Here in the South, it wasn't so easy for us. Growing up knowing that it could have went better had I went to sea or forego on a better plantation for my awareness, it should have been a whole lot better for my education to be properly prepared for what it was worth. Most likely, for what I know, the education system here, in my vulgar opinion, barely makes any sense, and here's why. For quite some time after my high school graduation, I've noticed that here in our state, the system of the school boarding has been seeing some decline lately. Especially during my time, I've noticed that kids I was hanging around with barely even learn anything. And that's no shade to them, but I'm just speaking my truth for what I know. Living here throughout my entire life can really make me embrace my traveling advances. Like not just living in one city that could label me as a city slicker, especially considering that if I was born and raised in Lexington with proper housing and better lifestyle decisions, it would have been a different story to tell you guys. But I can't go back and change the past. But I wonder what it would be like if I did. That is something that I will always confine in for critical purposes. If it's not too late, then I can start now. There's always time for us to be set. While I was away for the week, I've been doing some critical thinking. To some of you guys, this video might not make sense, so it would be the best decision to leave this up as a rough draft, even if it just felt completed. But besides all of that, this feels completely self-sufficient to my little story here. For someone like me to tell it, the location is pretty basic in my opinion. I don't know if it's the people or the construction of this place. And I would often believe that it's the people. Like, where is everyone? Why is no one happy to live here, you know? You're blessed to live in such a peaceful environment filled with purpose that you can fulfill for your own variety. There's many things to reflect with a healthy mindset if you put the work in, no matter what it is. Sometimes at night, I'd be thinking to myself, what the f is wrong with everyone? What's wrong with me? Like, come on, man. I can see through some things without having to announce it. It's in my nature and I plan to keep it as long as it benefits me into a superficial, intelligent route out of the equation. It's my main goal to push out things like this. Well, not specifically this, but you know what I mean. It's so weird knowing that living in this state, from my perspective, is literally like labeling myself as a southern cowboy. Having some sorts of people coming from the ghetto, and half that are too nonchalant about their lifestyle choices that can set in stone for everyone else. Right now, for me, there's no one to trust and it kind of steeps upon my thinking of what I want to do for myself. You never know who could be the cause and effects of what you decide to do with your own life. I haven't been in contact with most of those who I know personally on a daily strategy, because I don't have none right now. It's quite sad, honestly. All you have left is the loved ones looking down on you. It's who you trust the most, respectively. Well, it has been long enough, and I think it is finally time to clean up my closet. There's a bunch of dirty clothes in the hamper, some shoes, backpacks, all the ordinary stuff. And I think it's finally time, man. I got what I need. Now, in this closet, there are a bunch of things that I have to throw out. There are some that I can actually keep if I wanted to. There's some stuff right behind back here, too, like a lamp, some shoe boxes that came from Adidas. Just the ordinary stuff I don't even need anymore. You know, it's been a long time, but I'm ready to finally move on from all of this. Go ahead and take this hamper out of the room. Place it right here while I'm at it. I found a dollar bill on the ground. Ain't that crazy?
My lucky day, I guess.
So, for the first time in 12 years, I decided it was finally time to clear out my closet to make it nice and clean from the very beginning. Unfortunately, for some of us here, you won't be catching us doing it for most of the time, which could somewhat prove my point here from a good standpoint. Like, you could come here and see why in this part of the city, or neighborhood, I should say, you won't get that much of a great answer. Most of the time in your local area, by vain existence, people from the outside would bring any shame of judgment to your region of the square, but it could also be said for the ones who was part of your team and would still give your local area a bad name to its reputation. There could be a good outcome for your image to your recent location to escape the previous one that was holding you back from success. For me, on a sinking scale, shows that the city that I was born in and raised could somewhat be a pandering factor of both success and failure. But living in this district for the past 12 years goes to show that I could still find a way to bounce back to my finding arrangements of positive reinforcement. In this case, for example, is how I could still find old things from my closet that I barely even touch anymore. Like a class of mementos that you're still grateful to have, but sometimes have to throw away for the better qualities. For instance, this belt that I haven't touched since I was in elementary. That is one form and class of mementos. Another belt that I haven't worn since elementary. This broken chair that I may need to use again someday. My algebra work from high school that could really be useful right now. Forsaken examples, of course. But moving on to better things that actually do matter right now. Like this bag for everyday purposes that I use right now. A second bag where all the good stuff is hidden. Nothing illegal here. Just gonna go throw it over there for a second. But after a good amount of time of clearing things out and throwing them out in the open room with a large amount of things that I don't even need anymore, it gives me a good amount of time to get a good shot of what the aftermath is like. I did a pretty good job if I say so myself. But all there is left is to sweep up the entire dust and hair that's left on the ground. I don't even know how the hair part even got there, but I could only assume that it may cause up a whole dust storm inside of here, which can only connect in all of its particles and make sense with some form of hair along with it. It would have been easier if I was to check in every once in a while. But what do you expect from someone who hasn't been thinking about the safety concerns of the closet for the past 12 years? You can't always wonder what the inside of the back room looks like every day. That's where the PTSD starts forming. But finally, after nearly 5 hours of cleaning the closet, the entire back room is looking neat and spotless, and these trash bags are filled with stuff that I am giving away to Goodwill, including this old piano that I never used, but will endorse for those who would want this to maintain it in a very dearly way. You only get one chance in life to persuade the best feeling of what you want to earn. But just remember, it is seriously important to know that
So, growing up here in Kentucky, I've learned a lot of things in my life that I want to address here. How about some of it being about influence, some of it being about the negative reception that I could have received almost every single time. It just varies and depends on how long that I can actually fulfill myself into being a better person here, because I've had dealt with a lot of things in my life here in this state, and this state has been giving me about almost every good positive things, but at the same time bad things. We used to live in this rough neighborhood, and that we have finally gotten out and moved into like a kind of a better neighborhood, which is around here in this park. And I think that living in like a park here actually just gives us better prophecies to fulfill our dreams here, and just how we can receive better things around here. Being around here just gives us better perception so that we don't have to fulfill it with bad intentions, because around here it can sometimes be good, sometimes be bad. Living in this neighborhood has given me lots of better power here so that I can feel free, and that I'm like being put in some sort of like danger or something like that, in like a bad environment, because that was kind of like the thing that we had back then, back in our older neighborhood, when I used to grow up a little bit for like a span of 5 years, I believe. It was like a span of 5 years, but it was basically just like gain bad influence down there, because that neighborhood was not even, it don't even feel like a neighborhood at all. But with that being said, it just feels like that I can finally just fulfill myself with better things, and that I can finally put all of the bad stuff into like the bad area where it can stay over there, and I don't have to put it in like a regional purpose of it being around the bad areas. So basically what I'm trying to say is that it feels better that I don't have to live in like some kind of bad neighborhood. And then eventually when I finally get out of this house, I want to move in like a better neighborhood. It could be in like a community gated park area or something like this. Even though we don't have like a gate in this area, it just feels better finally addressing the stuff that I want to address, and I don't have to keep it in my head anymore. But as of now, I am finally ready to get things on the go without having to be like I'm going to continue keeping it inside, because keeping it inside is not going to do any more favors. But in my opinion, I think I'm doing all right.
I think I finally get it now. It took me weeks to get everything straight, and I'm finally ready to return back to my normal, more mature, positive hand posturing ways. This specific location could really use some more work done to improve the city's true personality. Like, I look at people from my area and see that they don't have much going on in their positive thoughts and actions. But then again, I may never know what kind of things that they're going through, so I have no say what matters to them. It would make the most sense. I haven't been morally consistent due to my recent feuds with others that are quite doubtful about my expectations and the outcomes to it. This message could be a way to send those who are not connected to the real issues of why we may feel this way. It's to obstruct our understanding of the location that represents us as a nation. That sometimes most of us are the same person, with different perspectives of the life that we choose to live. Whether we live in the same state, same city, same neighborhood, or if not any of those, we can still feel connected to each other. As individuals, it makes yourself feel better about what single heading comes your way. Like this spot, for example, helps me create daily motivational intakes for the proper being of what I want to live for. The location can sometimes be rough, but can actually teach me everything that I need to know. You could also say the same yourself, but it may vary on the settings of environmental conditions that you associate yourself with. Be careful to choose which setting you will align yourself to, and use that setting to portray a better image for not only yourself, but the ones that you may come across one day. Maybe they will also feel the same way you do if you put your time and effort into something that could possibly change your life for the better. I'm honestly glad to take some time away to reconnect to my moral values with greater instincts. But at the same time, things need to be addressed from a private standpoint with less negative discourse. This video is a rough draft, and nothing in this video is meant to be perfect. I have the independent vision of visual concepts. More than one topic can be discussed without any fear of contradiction at all. With all that being said, and final sibling response, I do give a about that little girl. You can barely relate to this. The fake threats and toughness never scared me one bit, but I don't blame you for it. The facts were given to you without any form of hesitation, and you went out and cried through the tears of blindness. There could be many ways for me to keep coming for you with valid reasons. Hope you finally get the help you need so we can finally be even. With much love, brother, as you're definitely going to need it. The beef got us both twisted from the acts of negative behavior. No longer will be addressing you because in reality you're not worth it. It's for the best that I move on with caution. Fair play is handled. So long.